Hello, my name is Kelly, and today I'm going to be reviewing In the Afterlight by Alexandra Bracken. And this is the last and final book in the Darkest Minds trilogy, and this was a good book. And now I'm always worried about the last books, like, making sense and fitting in with the storyline, but Alexandra Bracken, she's my girl, and she did, of course, an amazing job writing this. So, if you have not read this book, you should read it. And if you haven't read The Darkest Minds or Never Fade, then you should leave, watch my other reviews about them, and then come back to this one after you read this book, because all I'm gonna do is talk about how much I freaked out and how much this book means to me. But yeah, there are gonna be a lot of spoilers. All you need to know is that if you've read the other two, then you're gonna want to read this one, so read it. Okay, so I just need to thank Alexandra Bracken for making a final and third book that makes sense and ties everything up and makes me feel better about it and makes me leave the trilogy feeling good, because I really liked The Darkest Minds and Never Fade, and I can say they're pretty up there, like top 3 of my favorite series, and I'm really glad that the last book, In the Afterlight, just tied it all together and made it really good and really enjoyable. And of course it was sad, and it's always sad leaving a series that you really love, but dang, this book was so good. So yeah, let's just get started. And just so you know, I might go back and forth all over the place talking about this book. I might put it in order when I edit it, but probably not because I'm lazy. So just warning you that, yeah, I'm kind of, because I didn't write any notes about it, I'm just kind of winging it from what I remember, the parts that really stood out to me. So if there's something that I missed, just tell me, and bear with me while I go all over the place. And anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's talk about this book. Okay, so the first thing I have to say is that I think it still amazes me, and it's still so crazy how all this bad things happen to Ruby and Liam and Zoo and everyone in the series, but they're still able to find love. They're still able to find someone else that they love and they want to be with, and it's like, it doesn't even matter that they have those powers anymore, because they frickin' are with their soulmate. And I think that's the most important thing, is even in those bad times, you can still find people to love and care about. And the friendship in this book and the other books amazed me, because I never thought Ruby and Jude were that close, but then seeing how much she thought about him up until the very end of the book too, she was always thinking about him, and I was like, wow, I never realized how close they were before, and I just didn't know if that was lack of paying attention, or I don't know. And then same, I got that feeling with Ruby and Kate also, because I still think of Kate as that person that was almost tricking her, in The Darkest Minds, and that was in love with Rob. I still think of her that way, but I know she means so much more than that to Ruby now, and it's obvious when Kate leaves and she's captured by Gray's people, I think. And when Vita joined the group of the four of them at the very end. That made me so happy, and Vita's character development all together and just in this one book, holy crap, made me so happy. And I'll go into the ending later, but Vita, let's talk about her for a second. Her and Chubbs are so obvious to me. The second that they were like always joking around with each other and stuff, I was like, I didn't expect them to do though, because I think that was kind of hinted at even with Ruby and Liam, and I was like, how do you guys have time for that when there's stuff going on? But I don't know. It was cute though, and that's what I feel like a lot of the book was. It was good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of it was just them waiting for things to happen, like waiting for supplies and waiting for cars and then waiting to attack Zoo. Let me talk about her. Holy cow. She was not mentioned like at all the second book, and it was so sad in the first book to see her leave. They're like, oh my gosh, we're never gonna see her again. And then the second book they didn't even talk about her. So I knew they had to bring her back. They were like, I'm not gonna just drop her. So when she found her, like her shoe and stuff, that whole scene, I was like, I know she's there. I know she's gonna find her. And just them being all together really made me happy. And a little bit later from that point on, Zoo and Vita's relationship, it kind of shocked me because I feel like they're polar opposites, but they do help each other in ways. I think Zoo rounds Vita's edges, and Vita gets Zoo to talk. I knew she was going to. I didn't think it would be for the reason that she does, though. That kind of shocked me. I thought she would go gradually into talking. Like, if they were fighting or something, she'd be like, stop, and everyone would be like, oh my gosh, she said something. I didn't think Zoo was going to talk because of that interview, because I didn't like Alice. I was mad when Alice was there, and I was like, So, when Zoo talked because of Vita and Alice, that made me upset, kind of. But I'm glad she talked, and I'm glad she is talking, and I feel like after that interview we didn't really get to see Zoo that much, but it was still nice how they're moving on and stuff, and that just shows how Zoo is putting stuff behind her and is growing up along with the rest of them. And I think it's nice how she can have, what is she, like 13 or something? 13, 14, and she's friends with like 18 and 19-year-olds. Well, Ruby's 17, but I think that's cool how there's an age gap and they can still get along so well. I feel like Chubbs wasn't in this book a lot, except at the end he kind of did important stuff. And oh my gosh, Liam, I don't know what was going on with him sometimes, because I felt really bad for Ruby when she was talking to Cole, and Cole was like, don't tell anyone, and then so she would go back to like Vita and Liam and stuff, and they would like talk behind her back, and it's like, she isn't trying to keep things from you guys, and that just made me so upset. And I'm like, really? And they're like, well, you're keeping things from us, and I'm like, really, you guys? Really, we're older than that. And it just made me sad how Liam would kind of play along with them. But then, oh my gosh, things that didn't start going down until Cole died. And that part really shocked me. I was like, what? And then, oh my gosh, literally the night before I read that chapter, I was thinking, if Ruby or Liam dies, I'm going to flip out. I'm going to be so done with this book. And then I read that chapter, and they're like, a student died. And I was like, it better not be Liam, or else I'm going to go crazy. And so I was kind of relieved it was Cole, but then I was kind of like, that makes me a horrible person. So I don't know anymore. It's kind of ironic, I don't know if that's the right word, that Cole died by a red, and he was a red, I feel like he never got that comfort that Ruby ended up eventually getting with her powers. I feel like Cole, he was always trapped as that kid that had to hide, and even after he told Liam, which I'm so glad he did, I'm so glad he told Liam, and I'm like, he has to. They're brothers, you know, you have to tell him. I think Liam was just mad because he's like, oh, he couldn't trust me, not because he was a red. Overall, I just feel bad for Cole, and that sucks. And I know that's a horrible word, but he's the only person that really died in this book, and you think the last book would have like this epic battle and stuff, and even at the end when they were breaking into Thermound, the camp where Ruby was, you didn't hear about what else was going on because it was just in Ruby's perspective, and even though stuff that was happening with Ruby was like intense and stuff, obviously, because she was being interrogated like that, and I was like crying the whole time. I can't even talk about that. But yeah, we didn't get to see all the extent of the fighting, and even when Ruby was walking with Liam and Harry, and then with Liam and Vita, you still only got glimpses because I didn't realize that she was like dying until she said, and then I realized we were running or something like that. They were running, and then the ambulance came, and then oh my gosh, that whole scene, I was like, this is serious. And then later when Ruby like sees a picture of herself being carried by Liam, she's like, I don't even recognize that girl. And I'm like, oh my god. 3 years in that place was like as bad as the 6 years she was in that place. And the only thing I'm really sad about is that they never said anything else about Sam. Like, I'm glad she got her memories back, but then what? They were really close friends, and then she just forgets about her? I don't know. When Ruby was in there and she was thinking to herself, wow, are they gonna still follow up with the plan to like break in on like, I think it was March 1st. She was like worrying, and she's like, no, I have to follow the plan anyway. And I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, are they really gonna go through with it still? Because Liam was freaking out about Cole being dead, and he was like crying and like saying, I can't go back there. And it's like, Liam, you're freaking out, man. You're in shock. Someone needs to make sure you're okay. They brought him on board, and that just sucks. It's like, your brother dies, and then your girlfriend is like bleeding all over the place. She almost dies, and it just sucks. I thought it was weird how, I don't know if I read this part right, but how people were trying to keep the kids and the parents separated at first. And like, I know how you want to do it like orderly and stuff, but really that's just causing too much anxiety and stuff, and people are gonna go crazy. People are gonna get mad. But I think it's nice how they put part of Liam's plan into it too by getting the parents there. And I'm like, finally, people listen, because usually when you hear bad things going on, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a bad thing, and people just eat it up and make it like worse than it really is. Then the people in this story are like, no, that's fake. That's fake. And I'm like, how can you believe that? Or how can you think that? Because like, that's your kid. Wouldn't you want to make for sure, you know? That part just blows me away every time. How could you think it's fake? It was nice how the parents got the kids, and it was really nice how Ruby's parents were there. She didn't have to go like looking for them or anything. Her grandma was there, and she gave her parents their memories back, or smoothed them over, because she never really took them. She just crumpled them up. And I think it's cool how even in the 3rd book, she's still learning about what she can do, and when her and Chubbs are talking about like different parts of the brain she could affect, I thought that was all really cool and really interesting, and yeah, it made sense. It made so much sense. Thank you, Alexandra Bracken. making sense. But yeah, anyway, I'm glad her family got all reunited and stuff. Okay, so with Ian, how it got caused made sense. It actually made so much sense that I was like, wow, this makes sense. And I was reading it because they got Lillian and Ruby fixed her and it was good. So Lillian being there was kind of bittersweet because Clancy started doing stuff and anyway, Lillian talking about the cure made sense. How it started with the water and they were doing stuff and the pregnant moms were drinking it and then it affected the baby, and how if you drink too much of it the kid died, and if it was like just the right amount and it did something to the kid, then it made sense that it would last through generations, which was actually really sad though, but it made sense. And how they wanted to neutralize the water, which they should have been doing the second they found out why it was wrong. But anyway, the cure even made sense too, how they didn't know how to reverse it, but they knew how to neutralize it. I thought that was okay. Same with Chubbs, I didn't like how they were restricting those kids to live in like certain sections because if they didn't get the treatment. But it's like, if they know how to control it, then you shouldn't have to worry about that. And then people are like, well, what if they do this or what if they do that because of their ability? And I'm like, normal people do bad stuff too, so it's not that much different. But I was glad that they couldn't recruit Iron kids to, like, for military purposes. Like, if you had an orange or a red in your military, you'd be done. Like, the enemy would be done, so that was smart. And, like, splitting them up, the United States into sections so they can focus on each section instead of one president working on the whole thing. I thought that was really smart too. Just the restriction on the Iron kids really made me mad. Other than that, it sounded like they were getting things together and it sounded good. And I was like, this is making sense. And I was just really happy. Clancy. He was mind controlling Ruby in her sleep because that's when she had her defenses down and she was like sleepwalking. And at first I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, whatever, sleepwalking, people do that. Then she's never really done it before. And then when she was like aiming the gun at Lily and she was like, I think she was awake, she was just really stressed. And then I don't understand though, because I took this test thing and it was about like the best book of the year, like best in sci-fi or best in realistic and stuff. And one of the questions was best, like, resolved villain or something, like the best person that turned around, and one of the people were Clancy, and I didn't get that because I haven't read the book. And then after I read the book, I still didn't get that because Clancy was still bad. He was always bad. He told Ruby and Cole snippets of the truth, but only to help himself. And I'm like, how is that good? And I feel bad that he got the cure, but who knows what he would have done, you know? He probably just would have messed everyone's plans up for a good future. And it makes you sad hearing what happened to him when he was younger. Yes, that's very sad. It's what you do with it after that happens that matters. And Clancy was mean. He was selfish and cruel. So I think the best thing for him was Ruby changing his memories, because the last thing she said about him is that he smiled. And I think that's good. I'm fine with Clancy with different memories because that means he might wonder about it. It depends how good of a job she did on him, but I don't think he'll ever be as bad as he was. And I understand some of Clancy's reasoning for things, like why the cure wouldn't work, or like, I don't know, some other things. And then Ruby realized it too, but she realized overall he was just still a bad person, and he would always be. I think it's so dumb how people in power are never the people that things happen to. And I know the Iron kids are still like teenagers, young adults, but there needs to be someone in the government or in a high leadership-ish role that has been through it. Like, all these people are are generations like above Ian, and it's like they're doing things for like normal people, and it's like, but you need someone on the other side of things looking at things to like make a difference. And I feel like that's kind of a problem we're having now, because there's not a much there's not as much diversity. There's like all these old men in power, and it's like, we need someone else. We need like someone actually going through things to put like their actions and their thoughts into it to help other people going through those things. So Senator Cruz, she didn't get it, and even though she was like in the league with Cole and stuff, she still didn't get it. So that made me mad. I feel like there wasn't as many like, oh my gosh, or like dun 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 parts in this last book as there was in the other two, but overall I really loved this book. It, like I said 1,000 times, it made so much sense, and honestly that's all that matters to me. I now have a high expectation for third books, and it's with second books too, you know. I've never had a problem with third books before, but now or last books, I should say. Kind of upsetting, I don't know, but this book made me feel really good, and it was good. Oh my gosh, okay, so when they were planning on hitting Thermoid, the camp, for their like big hit, it actually really surprised me that Nico wanted to go and put the file thing in there on the computers. I was like, that kid can't do that. I was like, that kid can't do that, but I also don't want Ruby to do that either. But then, oh my gosh, when Ruby was there, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is scary, and she's like, I'm gonna walk out of here and stuff, and I was like, if she's still that nervous, Nico could have never done it. He couldn't have. I don't even see him being able to do that, and I'm really glad that Ruby forgave him and they got to like kind of form a friendship, and she like watched out for him. She's like, Nico, you can't go in there. So she did instead, and it was just sad to see Ruby going through that again. I didn't even realize she's only been out for a year. I was like, holy cow, because she got out when she was 16 and she was 17 now. And so yeah, I don't know, it would be scary going back there. And she had a good mindset, and she like held strong all up until the part when she got the chip in and they captured her, and I was like, oh my god, Ruby. And they were like interrogating her, and like, why would they kill her when they could do like research and stuff on her? That's what I didn't get. She was so convinced that they were gonna kill her, and I'm like, no they're not. No they're not. So yeah, they did interrogate her, and they broke her leg, I guess, because I was like reading it, and then she's like, you touched my leg, and it was like, ow, and I was like, when did they break your leg? But yeah, so that part was pretty intense. That part was and she lost herself for a second, because she was like sitting there and she was like, oh my god, because they kept on using that white noise on her, and I was like, how could she answer your questions anyway if you keep using that? And that was horrible. It's so horrible. I could never be one of those people. I would probably be honestly, I'd probably be one of the kids that died because of Ian, instead of like surviving or like being normal. Yeah. So I don't know. And then I thought it was really funny. Oh my gosh. It was weird how Reds were at Thermoid too, because, and they were like making sure that the other kids like didn't do anything wrong, and it's like, they're being threatened with the red kids, and I thought that was really weird. Because Cole and Liam, they went to a place that was just red kids, but then I guess there was a lot of reds out there. Okay, so this part that was really funny, it said, "Who sent you?" Orion asked. "What is your purpose here?" To tell you. The words didn't sound nearly as furious coming out of my mouth as they did in my head. The camp controller leaned forward, eyes narrowing into slits. "To go fuck yourself." Ruby, oh my gosh. And then he's like, "Who sent you?" And she's like, "Fuck you." Honestly, that whole part made me laugh so hard, and I even showed my sister, and I was like, "Just read this," and she laughed too, and I was like, "This is crazy." It's nice that she had enough courage to do that, but then, oh my god, fuck you. Anyway, they kept calling her number, and then she's like, "Ruby," and he's like, "What did you say?" She's like, "My name is Ruby," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, your name is Ruby, you go girl, slay them." Ruby's my favorite. She knocked all the other girls on my top 10 list down. She's probably number 1 right now. She is so strong, and in the beginning she was just kind of like freaking out and like crying over everything, and I was like, "Ruby, no." It made me sad because I thought she was getting so much better and stronger, and then to see her just keep falling apart over and over again made me really sad. So at the very end of this book, when the 5 of them went on that road trip, it made me really happy, and they didn't have to deal with all like the political stuff and the future stuff anymore. They were just like, "Bye," and like left, and I was like, yes, good for them. Because I feel like people their age do that, and that's kind of like a normal thing to do, and I just want to see them smile because they deserve it. They deserve every ounce of happiness ever. And oh my gosh, I feel like I've been rambling on about this book forever, but then I feel like I haven't talked enough about it. Oh my gosh. This book, so good. And if you guys have any other thoughts on it, or comments or questions or anything, just let me know in the comments. I really appreciate them. It's nice to get a different perspective on things because everyone reads books differently. So tell me how you like this book, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And thank you for watching. I hope you like this review, and I hope you love this book because I certainly did. And such a pretty cover too. And just thank you for watching all of it and my rambling and stuff. So yes, thank you. Goodbye. Two.